On November 30th, 2022, the world changed forever. Artificial intelligence, or better known as AI, became accessible to the public for free through a mind-blowing tool called ChatGPT. In only 5 days, it gained a smoking 1 million users, which is the fastest any platform has gone to 1 million users. Let's put that into perspective. It took Facebook 2 years to get to 1 million users, Pinterest 4 months, and it took Twitter 24 months. Many of the smartest people in the world are sending out alarm bells. They're afraid of what this new technology could do in the future.
I try to convince people to slow down AI, to regulate AI. This was futile. I tried for years. Nobody listened.
No one.
It's too late.
People like Elon Musk can be part of the solution for slowing it down. People said stuff like this about televisions. And although many people like to behave like ostriches and bury their heads in the sand, the world is still going to zoom right by them because the sand only creates more blind spots. It doesn't create awareness. So instead of being afraid of the technology, I prefer to learn it, master it, and find out where I can do what it can't. In this video, I share 5 skills that will help you come out on top. They are skills that AI cannot replicate, will help make you money, and make sure that you come out on top of the AI revolution. Hey, I'm Samantha Postman. I'm a former welfare kid, a serial entrepreneur, and a polymathic educator. In this channel, I talk about the skills that you should have learned in school but weren't taught. One of those skills is emotional intelligence, also called EQ. It's said that the highest indicator of success is not intelligence or IQ, it's actually emotional intelligence, EQ. Emotional intelligence is a set of skills that are mostly based on self-awareness. They help you recognize, manage, and express emotions effectively. AI systems, while very intelligent, aren't able to pick up on human nonverbal communication or like the energy in the room. They can't recognize emotions or express emotions effectively. As more of the mundane tasks are starting to be automated, those with high emotional intelligence will be better equipped to handle those roles that involved human interaction and connection and emotional support. We've all heard people complain about their bosses. That boss isn't understanding. That boss has no ability to communicate well. That boss is a fill in the blank. We can't use those words on YouTube. Well, unfortunately for those bosses, if their jobs are automated, they can easily be replaced with people with good human skills. And those coworkers that don't work well with others, aren't good team players, don't pick up on nonverbal cues, well, I'm sorry to say that their low emotional intelligence is not going to serve them very well in the AI revolution. Relationship building is very important. I often say this to people I work with: relationship first, relationship first, relationship first. It reminds me of a doctor friend of mine. He goes by Dr. M. He's a polymath tech consultant. The great thing about AI is that doctors are able to offload the heavy diagnostic work, where they have to keep up with all the latest discoveries, where they need to keep up with the medical journals, as well as all the different prescriptions and the side effects of all the new prescriptions on the market. One of the most common things I hear patients say is, I wish the doctor spent more time with me. And to be honest, doctors can pick up other important information by spending just a bit more time with you. So based on this, you can tell that being in the medical field is one place that you know that you can beat the AI revolution. Other roles would be coaching, sales and client care, education for the youth, and many more. Another important skill to develop is your decision making. We've all heard of the phrase paralysis analysis. This is caused by too many options. It's a really common problem in North America. Now, AI can provide a lot of information and knowledge to go over, but it can't actually make the decision for you. Someone needs to be responsible. Someone needs to weigh all of the options, and not everything is logical. There is an emotional element like we talked about before, building in emotional intelligence. How will people respond to the decisions made? Just because there's a logical solution doesn't mean it will suit the needs of the people it applies to. You know, the richest people in the world aren't necessarily working harder than you and I. They're just making really great decisions. Jeff Bezos is a great example of that. It drives me pretty crazy that they don't teach decision-making skills in school. They teach us what to think, not how to think. As AI systems become more sophisticated, they will be able to make more decisions for us. However, there still needs to be some oversight, which is what Elon Musk was talking about earlier. If you've got a strong understanding of risk management, critical thinking, problem solving, and decision making, you'd be really suited well for roles like risk management, management, an AI ethicist, which is someone who reviews the ethics of AI in the workplace and other organizations. You'd also be set up well as a financial and wealth advisor. And if that's not up your alley, you could be a general contractor for building construction. I covered a great example of how a generalist will thrive in the AI revolution in my video called Generalist versus Specialist. I'll just link it in the description below. The next skill has been a key element of success all through time: communication. I'd like to take it one step further and call it connection. Connection through communication is key. It reminds me of one of my favorite quotes by an American therapist who was also a motivational speaker. He was born with a severe medical condition that confined him to a wheelchair for life. This is what he said: communication is merely an exchange of information, but connection is an exchange of our humanity. It's safe to say that knowing how to clearly articulate what you have to say is a highly valuable skill, as well as being able to articulate and communicate the needs of others. One of the best tips I give in public speaking coaching is care about the people you're with. Everything else will fall into place. That really aligns with Stephenson's quote, where he talks about the power of connection. When we communicate well, people feel heard and they feel understood.
Let me take it out here. This is the new MacBook Air, and you can get a feel for how thin it is.
There's this saying, if you can't beat them, join them. One of the hottest jobs in the career market right now is AI prompt engineer. If you have the skill in communication, you will be able to articulate very well into ChatGPT, which will produce even better results. It makes sense that people who can articulate well in the physical world will also be able to articulate well in the tech world. All right, so we know that communication skills are essential, especially in the AI revolution. Now, what if you skill stack that with storytelling? Great communication is always followed up by a great story. For example, in 2016, I almost went to prison in a developing country for trying to buy someone's unborn baby. I was living in Ecuador consulting for about 30 humanitarian agents. I bet I got you hooked. If you want to know more, you can check out my video on the art of learning anything faster. I'll link it down below in the description. I promise you there's no other Canadian with a story like this. It's a one-of-a-kind story that could be used for selling Spanish courses, or in my case, teaching super skills on how to learn anything faster. I also could use it in a comedian show. On a related note, it's no laughing matter how quickly Amazon is filling up with books. Because of ChatGPT, even the publishing houses are shutting down their intake. As many of us know, Amazon has made bank off of their Kindle direct publishing. And because of AI, it's become even easier to publish your own book. As I shared before, AI is taking over creative jobs before taking over the blue-collar job. It's now possible to have AI create your book cover art. And because of these tools, you can literally have your book published in a day. One thing I do love about this is it lowers the barrier to entry so that more people have an opportunity to be authors. It's becoming even harder to stand out from the crowd. A great story will stand out from anyone. The other cool thing about storytelling is it builds your personal brand. If you'll notice on LinkedIn, most people build their company's brand through their personal brand. There is power in unique storytelling, stories that will captivate, inspire, motivate, and remain sticky in people's minds can never be replicated in AI world. Another way to stand out is to build your cross-cultural competence. In some worlds, we call that cultural intelligence or cultural quotient. It's sort of like EQ and IQ, only we call it CQ. The world has become even more accessible, and the global integration requires us to interact, communicate, and connect with people of many different cultures. It's kind of interesting, you know, I live in Canada and people will say, no, this is a Canadian thing that we do. However, people forget that Canadians have migrated from all over the world. There really is no such thing as Canadian behavior because we have a mosaic of so many cultures. If you want to improve your cultural intelligence, I want to recommend one of my favorite books. It's called The Culture Map by Erin Meyer. Here's an example. A lot of North American organizations have what's called consensus-driven culture. It's where you can't move forward until you have everyone on board or everyone agrees. This can be really dangerous because a few people can stall any progress if they're not comfortable, and sometimes they're stalling for personal reasons that aren't for the benefit of the organization. Sometimes they don't know about their own personal biases, and sometimes they do. I'm married to a Canadian who has Dutch roots. And in the area I live in, there's a large Dutch settlement. The consensus-driven culture is very prevalent in my geographic area. Because of the Scandinavian influence of consensus-driven culture, this book really helped me understand my husband, his family, and the region that I live in. I can definitely see the benefits. However, I can also see the drawbacks. But having this awareness sets me up as a really great consultant because I can see the dynamics. What happens when you bring someone in who has a French background or an Asian background? The way that they run organizations or participate in an organization is going to be quite different than someone who has a Scandinavian root. I find culture very fascinating. I've traveled all over the world and learned a lot about a lot of different cultures. It's one of the most exciting experiences of my life. If you live in a country that has a lot of immigration, keep this in mind. Even though my husband and I are second generation Canadians, it's important to understand the cultural roots of our parents and how they influence our decisions today. We've hosted 2 Dutch exchange students. It's been said that some Dutch immigrants, even 100 years later, are acting more Dutch than they do in the Netherlands. I promise you, this book will give you a whole ton of epiphanies about yourself, your family, your neighbors, and all the people you work with. Even though it's marketed as a business book, it's filled with compelling stories that is worth the read and applicable to almost everyone in their life. If you can articulate culture, how people are articulating, how they're hearing the messages, you will be an unstoppable superpower in the AI revolution. The AI revolution is our reality. If you choose to be that ostrich and put your head in the sand, you'll be even more blind than you were above ground. You can stay ahead of it, especially if you're willing to build and develop these skills: communication through connection, storytelling, decision-making skills, emotional intelligence, and cultural intelligence. Because, as Charles Darwin says, it is not the strongest species that survives, nor the most intelligent that survives. It is the one that is the most adaptable to change. Therefore, it's crucial to adapt in the AI revolution if you want to thrive. I, for one, am taking advantage of everything I can learn about ChatGPT, streamline my work processes so that I can spend more time on creating YouTube videos for you. If you love this video, be sure to check out my other one where I cover other important skills to develop in the AI revolution. And of course, be sure to subscribe, like this video, and check out the other related videos I link in the description below. All right, my friends, embrace your curiosity, live boldly, and live a life you love. Until next time.